Hello and welcome to your yoga session today. I want to talk about breathing. And in yoga you have lots of different breathing techniques, and as an osteopath I really endorse them and I think that they can be very, very helpful. So I'm going to walk through some of the techniques that I use with my patients. Ideally, you want to be able to lie flat on your back. You may find that having a cushion or some support underneath your knees is quite useful for this. It means it takes the pressure off your diaphragm and it really allows you to open and to breathe a little bit more easily. You may also find that having a pillow underneath your head is also useful. I'm not using this for today, but you can do. So when we start with breathing, I get people to tune into their breath. So it's quite useful to close your eyes when you're doing this. And I want to feel, is there any tension in my rib cage, around my throat, around my spine? And I can feel that there is, and what I want to make sure is that I'm not using any other part of my body before I go into the breathing. So I'm going to start paying attention to my toes, so my feet. I feel the skin around my toes, the skin around the base of my foot, the front of the ankle, onto the inside of my ankle, the backs and the sides. And then I slowly contract my feet just with about 50% of my strength. And then I let go. Okay, so this is all body awareness. And as I'm doing this, I'm not really focusing on my breathing yet, but I will come to that. I then start to focus on my calves and also my shins and the tissues around. And I'm thinking muscles, I'm thinking ligaments, tendons, arteries, lymph, nerves, connective tissues, bones, all of that. It's all around the lower part of my leg. And from here I'm going to squeeze the calves slightly. And then I slowly let go. And then I travel up to my knees, feeling into the back, the pocket of the knee, around the front if there any tension. And then move up to my thighs. I think about the front of my thighs, the insides, the outsides, the back. I squeeze just slightly, 50%. And then I slowly let go. And now coming into my pelvis, the back of my hips, where my buttock muscles are, so the gluteal muscles. The front of my hips, where the hip flexors are, so psoas major, psoas minor if you have one. And then also iliacus. And we store quite a lot of motion around the pelvis. So from here, I'm gently squeezing the muscles all around the big pelvis bones, and then gently relaxing. I'm coming up into my spine, my lower back, my abdomen, the sides of my abdomen, my rib cage, my middle back, my upper back and into the front of my throat, my neck, into the backs of my shoulders. All of these components of my body, they play a relationship. And you can't separate your little finger from your little toe. They're all connected. close together, and then let my shoulder blades settle onto the mat. You may also find a clench of your fists, and then letting your hands open and feeling your body be supported by the ground, by your mat. And I start paying attention more to my rib cage and my abdomen as I start to breathe. And you're thinking of breathing in a 360-degree movement. Your rib cage is amazing. As you inhale, it will come up towards the ceiling. It will move outwards towards your arms. It will move upwards towards your neck and your head. And the diaphragm will contract and draw downwards towards your pelvic floor. And the movement that I see quite frequently that seems to not happen as much as I'd like is the breathing into the back of the rib cage. So as I inhale, I'm thinking about my rib cage pressing into the mat and gently allowing me to sort of elevate very slowly off the mat. And then as I exhale, everything comes back in and contracts. So spend some time here working out how you breathe and where your breathing is coming from. And some people find it useful to place a hand on their belly, on the rib cage, around their upper ribs, just to remind them of where breathing comes from. We're going to go into Mula Bandha. Mula Bandha sits just around where your belly button is. And you want to think about inhaling and expanding your abdomen as wide as possible. And then as you exhale, you're drawing the tissues from the side of your body inwards towards your belly button and downwards slightly. Inhaling. And exhaling. And exhaling. Trying to engage those very deep abdominal muscles as you exhale and draw your abdomen at the front towards your spine and the back. And then from here, I'm starting to think about Mula Bandha, drawing my pelvic floor upwards. So it's gentle movement this, thinking about the tissues running from your tailbone to the front of your pubic bone and then back towards your tailbone. And it's a draw in and up. And then a release. We can start to work both of these loves together. So drawing a deep inhale, letting everything expand. you so the sides of your body down towards your back and inwards, and then gently drawing your pelvic floor upwards and inwards, and then releasing. And the whole idea of this practice is it gives you voluntary control of your movements. Your pelvic floor and your abdomen contains vital organs for function. So you've got the liver in the top right, stomach, spleen, pancreas, top left. You've got your gut, large intestine, small intestine. You've got your bladder, reproductive organs, rectum. All of these are really vital for body function. They're all covered in wrappers of tissue that can really work quite nicely together. So when you're ready, you can start to bring yourself back into the room. Move your toes, move your feet. Rock and roll your knees from side to side. And you're ready, rolling over to one side and then coming back up into a seated position. Just take a moment in a seated position, especially if you experience a bit of dizziness, or maybe sometimes you can get a headache from coming from lying to sitting. You just want your blood pressure to equalise at this point in time. Take some breaths